Hey, welcome back, fellas, and yes, your eyes do not deceive you. We're here with the first ever Super Easy 8 tier list on this channel. Man, am I excited, and I'm hoping you guys are excited as well, because this has been a long time coming. I mean, it's been a while since I've done a tier list, but also, this is the first one with Super Easy A's. Super Easy A's, they've been in the game since the same day celebration, so what is that, like 8 or 9 months ago? And over time, we've been getting more and more Super Easy A's, but now we're at this point where we have officially 9 Super Easy A's in the game. So I think now we're at a point where it is appropriate to make a nice, proper, good-looking, real, sexy tier list, which is of course what we're here to do today. Now, in terms of the setup, it's just like my previous tier list if you guys have seen those. So 1 through 9 setup here, the pool, just so I don't spoil places beforehand. We have the icons for all of the individual units, except for one. This is kind of inaccurate here, but this Ultimate Gohan image is not for the right Gohan. This is for the STR Dokkan Fest Gohan, but the one this image is meant to refer to basically is for this Int Ultimate Gohan right here. So this is the only one where it's a bit of an issue right there because I couldn't find the proper image, but the others are for the proper units. So there's that. We have the kits as well, so we can talk about them. So it should be very simple and very straightforward. However, if you guys also need some assistance on that as well, I will put timestamps as well to help you guys out with the places and everything if you need to do so. So there's that as well. I just want to mention that. But okay, let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get into the tier list, the nitty and gritty kind of stuff right here. Starting off at number 9, the worst Super Easy 8 in terms of the whole bunch in my opinion. And I honestly don't know if anyone will disagree with this, but I'm going to say number 9 goes to Goku Black, or Goku Whack if you want to call him that. When it comes to why I just don't like Goku Black compared to the others, it comes down to a couple of things conceptual in terms of his design. For one, he's designed to be a nuking type of character. Now, don't get me wrong, nuking characters, we've seen them many times throughout the years. It's not a crazy concept we haven't seen before, and Goku Black has a lot of potential. The problem is, his ceiling is so high, and his floor is so low. There is a massive range in terms of how good or how bad Goku Black could potentially be, and it's just so frustrating because on average, he's mediocre. On average. It's not like his average kind of skill set or his average kind of level is good or decent or something like that. It's just mediocre. So the potential, yes, it's crazy, but on average, him being mediocre or potentially worse, that is just very frustrating. And when we look at his kit, it's very single-track minded in terms of the key sphere system, right? You get stats per key spheres right there, more stat boost per key spheres obtained. Right here, this is just kind of doubling down on that, so he does have some orb changing, which is helpful for him, but also this is kind of predicated on him basically facing a Goku's family enemy, or all allies in the turn, basically by extension the team, being Super Boss's category allies. So there's that. It will double down, or kind of increase rather, I should say, not double down, but increase the amount of stat boost per key sphere obtained. That's really what he's about, and yes, he does get some nice stat boost here per attack received, but mostly it's about the key spheres, and if you don't get those key spheres because maybe some other units need them, then there's a problem for Goku Black for sure. And also, I mean, we talk about what he has to offer. He doesn't have any flat-out passive stat boost to begin with, so that is very frustrating because that means basically at turn 1, you could argue he is at his weakest point, so that is very problematic for sure. Also, I mean, when we talk about what he is missing, he's missing a lot of defensive mechanics, right? A lot of defensive mechanics that you look for in really good units, especially after the 9th anniversary meta shift, include things like guard, damage reduction, or dodge, right? Goku Black has none of those things. The only thing he has to offer is raw defensive stats. So if you're missing those stats, then you're basically screwed. The only hope you have is to put built-in dodge on Goku Black's hidden potential system and hope that that will save your ass, because otherwise this is going to be a very serious problem. So for me, all of those reasons are why I have Goku Black so low. I will give him some props. I mean, the debuffing here is nice. It doesn't apply everywhere, but when you can debuff an opponent, that is very helpful. Also, I mean, the support, that is very nice as well. It's very simple, it's very straightforward, and also no conditions, right? It's a nice defensive boost, nice key boost right there. So we do love that, of course. It's only for extreme allies, which does kind of suck. But, I mean, again, I do appreciate support where it is. I'm always a fan of support in any sort of unit, if you guys have known me before. So, yeah, I mean, I do appreciate that. But when it comes to Goku Black himself as an individual, I really just dislike him in terms of what he has to offer. And I cannot tell you how many sort of runs I've had with Super Bosses or something like that where I take Goku Black and he is the one who lets me down after doing the Super, after getting the orbs. He still lets me down. So, I mean, yeah, Goku Black, I think it's very easy to say that he is the worst Super Easy by far. I would actually even argue that there should be a gap here between 8 and 9, and Goku Black should be on his lonesome here compared to the other 8, but that's just me right there. Alright, let's move on to number 8 on a bit of a more positive note, I guess, but number 8, that's going to be going to AGL Super Saiyan 3 Goku, the OG of the Super Easy A's, right? Because he was the first Super Easy A in the game. And honestly, I mean, for the first Super Easy A in the game, especially when you think of it in that context, he was pretty good. I mean, he was setting the bar pretty high, because Super Easy A's, we didn't know what they were going to be capable of. But Super Saiyan 3 Goku, I mean, when he first came out, he was setting the bar pretty good. Obviously, it's only gotten better since then for the most part. And Super Saiyan 3 Goku, the thing about him is he has a lot of nice things to offer, right? The debuffing, I mean, that we saw with Goku Black, the debuffing here is really nice, of course. He has a lot of nice individual stat boosts for himself, right? Especially a nice 200% flat stat boost right there. So that's just something, no conditions, no key spheres needed. I love that in a unit because that means I don't have to think too much about really prioritizing them. Goku can just kind of focus and do his thing, right? So there's that. I mean, you know, he's got a lot of things to offer. Also here, though, the medium chance of evading enemies' attack, plus the extra 30% before attacking. So what is that? Like, I think medium chance is 30% chance to dodge, so 30% to 60% of my math is right. So that chance to dodge is not the best chance we've seen in the game, of course, right? But still, having that defensive mechanic built into him, that is something that obviously we don't see with Goku Black. It is something that is really nice to have, and it's something I really do appreciate about Goku. Now, to be fair, he is kind of falling off, especially compared to his heyday back when he was released as a Super Easy A, and even then he wasn't exactly that powerful. But over time, yeah, he's gotten worse for sure because bosses get more difficult, and also the problem with this unit still exists within his passive skill where he does lose some of these stat boosts as the turns and the fight progresses. So that was how he was designed when he was released. It still is showing itself in his passive skill now, and obviously I guess they want to keep with that focus for him, but still it is annoying because certain fights, yes, they can take a bit longer than 7 turns or something like that, and when that happens, Goku's getting a bit worse. So those things really do suck for sure. And I mean, it is what it is. It's just the fact of the matter is Goku still has some problems when it comes to his kit because of the turn situation and things like that. Also, the other thing I do want to kind of criticize him on is the support ability that he has. So you see right here, he does give a boost to crit chance for super class and extreme class allies. Crit chance boost is not the best like support, I would say, in the game. Yes, it's helpful, don't get me wrong, but compared to giving ki or giving stats especially, it's much worse in my opinion. And also, aside from that, it's a temporary boost. It's only for 3 turns. So once the turns pass, then the support is gone. So that is also pretty annoying as well. So those are some issues with Super Saiyan 3 Goku for sure. But I still think individually, he is a better, more trustworthy unit than Goku Black. So for me, he's going to be at number 8 as opposed to Goku Black still stuck at the number 9 spot for sure as the worst Super Easy in the game. Man, I hate Goku Black. Alright. Let's go ahead and move on to number 7. So number 7, going to be a similar kind of familiar looking kind of character here, but we're going to have Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. This is a very interesting kind of choice here for a lot of people, I would say, maybe, because, you know, when it comes to my close friend circle, there are people who I know who will stand by Gotenks, maybe potentially being 1, 2, maybe even 3 positions higher, depending on what you want in a unit and what he has to offer. For me, Gotenks, though, I'm like the hater in my friend group, I swear to God, but he's number 7 for me, and the reason why I have him so low is because, yes, he has a lot of good things to offer, but I just don't like what he does offer in certain situations because I still find that he is still kind of causing trouble for me. It's kind of interesting because I guess a lot of it is from my own personal experience with Gotenks, but at the same time, the good things he has to offer, they're there. At the same time, he's just has some issues that really kind of irk me whenever I use him. So when we're looking at what he has to offer, obviously a lot of nice attack boosting right there. He can debuff with the 12 key, which is actually very valuable for sure. But the massively raising attack for the 11 key, that is insane. That is one of the best things about his whole super attack system is when you get that 11 key, his damage output is just insane. It's off the chain. It's whatever you want to call it. It is awesome. Also, you know, I mean, he's getting additional attack boosts and everything with the super attack. He's actually giving some support as well, which I will say is better than Super Saiyan 3 Goku's. However, it's the same kind of issue, right? So, boosting defense for super class allies, boosting attack for extreme class allies, that is better than the crit chance boost, but it's also only for 3 turns. So, again, it's better than Super Saiyan 3 Goku's, but still it's only temporary, so that is really annoying. I really do dislike that. I hate when parts of a passive skill are locked by certain restrictions. It's just really annoying, really. I mean, I have to say it for what it is. But still, it is there. It's still a better support, so I will say that. Obviously, he is boosting his stats when ki is 11 or less right there, boosting his stats per attack performed, so that is really nice to help him kind of reach more damage up to a certain point. And also, I mean, he's boosting his crit chance right there. If ki is 11, getting damage reduction. If ki is 12, he's getting a high chance to dodge in general, plus an additional 33% there for that 12 key super. So basically, what does that mean? Well, high chance is a 50% chance to dodge. If you have that 50% plus the 33% when he has a 12 key super, that is going to be an 83% chance to dodge, which is actually insane. It's beautiful to see what he could do with that high dodge chance. However, why I have him so low is because a couple of things. One, it's really hard for me specifically to get his 11 key. Now, you can find ways to get his 11 key to be accessible depending on the rotations and everything. But especially if you're running him with another Gotenks, for example, where he does get a lot of his links. In fact, I believe he gets all of his links activated right here, right? So when you get him with another Gotenks like that one right there, the problem is all of these links are activated, and then because of that, he's getting so much ki with the right leader skills and everything that it's almost impossible for you to get his 11 ki. In fact, you would have to find ways to like debuff yourself, which I don't even think is really possible other than like burst mode or something, in order for Gotenks to get his 11 key super. So you really are relying then on the dodge chance. And also, I will say that has an issue as well for Gotenks is, you know, yes, he has the dodge chance, it's really good. He has damage reduction for the 11 key, that is really good as well. If you for some reason don't get the 11 key, then you're missing out on the damage reduction, which can be frustrating. If you get the 12 key, yes, you have the high chance to dodge, but if he doesn't dodge, then he can take some serious damage. I've had him fail me in terms of that before, and I think that is something that I do hold against him. And also, especially, and this is like a worst case scenario, but if you get 10 key or less, right, if you get that first super, for one, you're not even getting that high of a stat boost in terms of your attack, but on top of that, you're not getting the damage reduction, and you're not getting the 33% chance to dodge right there as well on top of the high chance. So all of this basically says that Gotenks can be set up in some pretty bad positions depending on how you kind of have him set up. It's very finicky with him. It's something I've always found irritating with him in terms of his usage, but especially now that you want to use his 11 key especially, or his 12 key, you have to find a way to balance out the link systeming, the linkage, I guess I should say, but yeah, it's very frustrating for sure. So Gotenks, yeah, he's going to be at number 7 for me. I feel pretty confident putting him in there, but I understand if some people say, you know what, he should be 6 or 5 or 4 or something like that. I don't know if anyone will say any higher, though, than number 4 for sure. All right, number 6. Number 6 is going to be going to someone who I think really defines the mid-level of the Super EZA set at this point in time so far, and that's going to be the Prime Battle LR Super EZA Super Saiyan Son Goku. He is going to be our number 6 spot, and I think this, again, he perfectly encapsulates what the average level Super EZA ought to be, at least at this point in time. I mean, when we look at what he has to offer, with the 12 key, he's greatly raising his attack and defense. That makes him a bit more tanky as he does his supers. He's able to support allies with the 18 key, so that is something I really do appreciate. Also, I mean, we go through his kit, it's nice and simple, but it has a lot to offer, especially in terms of stats. Obviously, you see right here, I like to kind of describe him as like a mini EZA or a sub EZA version of the LR Physical Janemba, where you see he has the first slot or second slot kind of ability right here with this passive, and also a second or third slot ability right here with this passive. So his best slot is basically the second slot in a turn, but you can put him in all the different slots for various kind of benefits or things of that nature. So I do appreciate that for Goku. Him having the great chance to guard, that is actually very clutch, especially when you need him to tank and everything in certain situations, which he can do pretty nicely. He has a great chance to do additional supers right there in the second and third slot, which means he can boost his attack even more within the turn. He's getting additional stat boost right there when performing an Ultra Super. And also, this is really nice right here, is he's giving a really good support for Superclass allies. Now, unfortunately, to kind of be a bit of a critic here, it's only for Superclass allies, not for Extreme Class allies, so that is a bit annoying. But still, the 30% boost to stats is really nice. The 3 key right there for all allies, that is very helpful for sure. I just wish there was some stat boost as well for Extreme Class allies as well. So there's that. And also, he has a very interesting kind of setup here where attacks are effective against all types for Superclass enemies and performing guaranteed crits versus Extreme Class enemies. So he's able to kind of fit himself well into all sorts of different fights because of that kind of part in his passive. So I gotta give credit where credit is due for Goku. He's got a lot of nice things, very simple, very straightforward, but he does it right. And actually, you would think with a passive like his that he could be in some serious danger because he doesn't have damage reduction, doesn't have dodge or anything like that. But the guard, it really does do a lot for him, and with his stats and everything, I mean, realistically, he can actually handle some pretty dangerous situations pretty nicely, right? And also, I mean, he's a free-to-play farmable LR, so most likely you're gonna have him at the 100% full hidden potential build and everything. You could put dodge on him if you want, you could put additionals, you could do whatever, and you could really set him up to be in a great position, especially compared to the other Super EZAs, because all the other Super EZAs right back here, let me go back to the tier list, all the other Super EZAs are summonable characters, so maybe you don't have them at 100% in the system, maybe you have 55% or something like that, in which case you can't get the best build for them. Well, Super Saiyan Goku, you can do that, and that makes him a lot more trustworthy in terms of what you can do to make him more defensively capable in that sort of regard. So all of that is to say, I really do think Goku belongs in the number 6 spot as the representation of the average kind of Super EZA at this point in time at the very least. Okay, number 5. Now we're going into a bit of a tricky situation for me. I honestly would say 5 to number 2. I think this 4 spots right here are kind of tricky in terms of how you want to position characters based on what you value or do not value. So for me, number 5 is going to be going to, I would probably say, okay, here's the thing. I know who I'm trying to probably say for number 5 and who I want to say. Number 5 is going to go to Kid Buu. Let me just go ahead and just kind of settle into it. Kid Buu is going to be my number 5. It really kind of hurts me to say it, but Yeah, Kid Buu is number 5. And the reason why I love Kid Buu so much, I've always stood by Kid Buu, is because he has a lot of nice support to offer. I mean, we look at this part right here. When HP is 70% or more, he's giving a bunch of ki to allies, he's giving additional stat boost right there in general, plus the extra ki and extra stat boost right there for super class allies, and an even greater boost to ki and stat boost for extreme class allies right there. If HP is 69% or less, he still is providing support, just a bit less in comparison to this other kind of clause right here. But also, I mean, he has damage reduction, which is something I really do appreciate in him. He has these nice things about him. But when it comes to what I just have to accept as the flaws with Kid Buu, it comes down to really like 2 things that are kind of still within his kit per se. So one is, yes, he does have the 20% damage reduction right here, plus the extra 20 up to 40% right here with every time he receives like 2 attacks in battle. So he can build up to 60% damage reduction, but even with the damage reduction, he can still take some serious damage, and that's just the fact of the matter, is he can still take some serious damage for sure. Most of the time he doesn't, but I mean, we have to speak for what it is. He can be hurt in some serious situations, so that is definitely a problem. Also, I mean, if we have to criticize the typing, which I hate to do so, but to be fair, he is a physical type unit. There are various kinds of fights where STR typing kind of opponents exist, in which case, you know, Kid Buu can be hurt kind of badly, so those things do matter as well. But I don't want to hold on the typing too much, but I mean, it is what it is. That's something we have to acknowledge, at least at this point in time. Also, this is the one thing I really do have an issue with when it comes to Kid Buu, is you cannot trust him in the first slot at all. And the reason why is because of this clause right here. And you may think this is not really that bad, but the problem is this is actually very bad because he doesn't have that much stats to begin with otherwise. So right here, 250% to his stats when performing the super. What that basically means is you need to put him in slot 2 or slot 3 to ensure his safety. If you don't do that, if you put him in slot 1, and especially if you don't have the damage reduction built up, he can be pretty much killed within the first turn, and you won't even know what happened to you because it'll be done in the snap of a finger. So that is just how Kid Buu is. It's kind of dangerous sometimes to run him, I must admit, but he is still very fun. He still provides a fantastic level of support. I may argue that he provides the best support collectively of all the units, but I mean, he provides an awesome amount of support. He's a fantastic character to use. He's so fun. The HP recovery here, I didn't really mention it, but it is nice to have it, even though you don't really necessarily need it, especially in certain teams that you may run him with, like for example Majin Power or stuff like that, maybe Majin Buu Saga. Most of those characters you will run him with are other Majin Buus, so there will be a bunch of healing anyways. Most likely you won't need the healing, but it is nice to have that as well. So Kid Buu, I love him. He's one of my favorite units so far from the Super Easy lists, but number 5 I think is more than fair to put him. I think any higher and I may be a bit disingenuous in terms of where he actually belongs. So 5 is going to be belonging to the menace from another kind of a realm, I guess, with Majin Buu, or Kid Buu I should say technically. Alright, number 4. Number 4 is going to be going to the latest Super Easy Ultimate Gohan. Obviously the wrong image once again, but this Ultimate Gohan is going to be number 4. Now, what do I like and not like about Gohan? Well, I think a lot of people have actually looked at Ultimate Gohan with the Super Easy and said, you know, he's got pretty good stuff, but he's not the best. And I think everyone kind of agrees on that, but why do I have him at number 4 as opposed to 3 or 2? That's the real question. And for me, it comes down to a couple of things. For one, his stat boost and everything, it is nice. I have to give him credit. You know, seeing in terms of his props, he's got some nice stat boost right there, the ki plus 7 or more, and then you get additional ki and stat boost right there. That's really easy to achieve. I mean, getting the additional super, that's really helpful. But there are some things as well that kind of hold him back. For one, he needs this kind of condition right here for this additional super and the chance to get crit hits and stuff, which is basically all allies are super class. So, not the worst condition, but it does basically limit what you have to offer in terms of what sort of team comps you could put him with. Like, for example, with Majin Buu Saga, I cannot run him with the new Buuhan. I can't run him with any sort of version of Kid Buu or Buu Tanks and Buuhan or like the in Majin Buu. I can't run him with those units because they're extreme type units, right? So I can't run him with them, and that really does kind of suck in terms of team versatility and those sorts of things. Aside from that, you know, we keep going. He does have the guarding against all attacks and the medium chance to dodge right here as the second or third slot. That is really nice. Guard plus a chance to dodge, that is huge. Also, you know, he gets up to another 40% chance to dodge right here with each super he performs. Basically, he could get up to, I believe it's 70% chance to dodge right there, combining the two, which is really clutch. It is absolutely awesome. He's boosting his defense for a bit, so all of that is really awesome. But when it comes to Gohan, I also dislike the fact that just like Kid Buu to a degree, Gohan is basically forced into the slot 2 or slot 3 position, and I have no problem with him working well in slot 2 or slot 3. I just wish that he could have done something in slot 1. It feels like you really can't put him in slot 1 compared to slot 2 or slot 3, and that really does kind of frustrate me. Also, I mean, he does have some nice kind of support ability, but this is only for super class allies, and also, you know, the stat boost here is nice, but this is kind of annoying to me. If it's an extreme class enemy, plus an additional 20% for super class allies, very easy condition to meet. It's very simple, very straightforward. It doesn't go away, but it is frustrating that basically you have to fight a certain type of enemy for that extra stat boost. I mean, it's not the difficult thing to achieve, but still it is annoying to me, because that means you're limiting yourself in terms of where you can really put Gohan to be at his best, and that is really just annoying to me for sure. But also, I mean, to Gohan's credit, he's on some nice categories for sure. He still can do a lot of things, and also, I didn't really mention this, he can greatly raise attack with his super attack effect, so he can do some crazy attack damage, provided a fight is long enough that he can kind of build himself up. He could do some crazy work, so we do love that from Gohan. Obviously, you know, in terms of linking, he can link pretty well, I should say, with Beast, so that is really nice right there. With the Tech Ultimate Gohan, right? So those are things that are really nice, but yeah, Ultimate Gohan, I think it's fair to say that he is number 4, especially compared to the other 3 on the list. I think he just doesn't have as much oomph or as much value as the other 3 in terms of impact and all those sorts of other things. So number 4, I think, is going to go to Ultimate Gohan. Alright, now we go to the top 3. This is where things get a bit interesting, a bit spicy, if you will. So, actually, I guess it's only the top 3. It's like 3 and 2 are the only spicy ones, because everyone probably has an idea what number 1 is going to be. But number 3, we're going to go ahead and take Full Power Frieza, Lord Frieza. He's going to be number 3. And honestly, I mean, this is a character I was kind of questioning, because, you know, for him, he has certain things that I don't like in certain units, and it honestly made me look at him and think maybe I should drop him down like 5, maybe 6 even. But really, he does belong at number 3, because when he cooks, holy crap, he cooks like a freaking demon. He is a menace when he is cooking, because his damage output is ridiculous. Let me just say it for what it is. It's the truth. His damage output is crazy. So 150% right there, plus the extra 300% we're performing a super. Obviously, with the super attack effect, he's not boosting his attack by any stretch of the imagination, but boosting his defense by 30% for 3 turns. That could be pretty helpful as well in terms of boosting his survivability. He has 50% damage reduction in general, and starting from the 5th turn from the character's entry, he then loses a bit of damage reduction, so that does kind of suck. But also right there, extra 30% as the first slot unit. What does this mean? Basically, for like the first 5 turns, he is having 80% damage reduction in the first slot, and even in the 2nd or 3rd slot, he still has 50% damage reduction. He's boosting his defense with the super attack effect. This guy is a freaking badass, and also, I mean, more stat boosts, more kind of boost right there with the 2nd or 3rd slot, additional super of HP is 50% or more. That is such an easy condition to meet for an additional super attack, which is just awesome right there. I mean, if HP is 50% or less, then he has this kind of condition here, which is kind of similar to what we saw with the LR Super Saiyan Goku, where performs a guaranteed crit when fighting super class enemies, attacks effective against all types when fighting extreme class enemies. Remember Goku earlier, right? Goku is like the reverse of that, so that is something right there. And also, I mean, to be fair to Frieza's criticism, this is only accessible when HP is 50% or less. But still, I mean, he has a lot of nice things, and also this is the biggest thing right here. Plus additional Ki plus 12 and attack plus 150% when there is a pure Saiyans category enemy. I've never been a fan of like certain restrictions when it comes to the type of enemy, but pure Saiyans is such an easy category to meet. I mean, think about how many Gokus we face in various kind of Dokkan events, how many Vegetas, all those sorts of characters matter, Broly's even, so really Frieza can just eat so well in those situations, and even outside of that, it's not like he's losing the biggest amount of stat boost right there. He's still getting the 300% right there, the 150 right there, potentially another 150 in the 2nd or 3rd slot, so that's all fantastic. He still is getting a defensive boost right there in the 1st slot, so Frieza, he's just awesome. He is just really good, and a lot of fights right now especially revolve on short kind of fight bursts, right? Only a few turns at most maybe, so in those situations, Frieza is basically at his best. Now, eventually, if fights decide to progress longer than maybe like 5 turns, maybe they go up to turn 8 or turn 10, then Frieza will start to fall off, and then we'll probably see some issues with him because, you know, fights can drag on and whatnot. But for the time being, the way fights are oriented and whatnot, Frieza is eating so good, so Frieza, I think he deserves to be at the number 3 spot for sure, especially with all these beautiful categories that he has to offer. Frieza definitely deserves to be at number 3. Alright, number 2. Number 2 is going to be going to a character that I think at this point we have no surprise who number 2 is going to be. Number 2 is going to be going to the legendary Super Saiyan Broly, which means number 1 is going to be going to the God of Destruction, the legendary deity himself, Beerus-sama. He's going to be our number 1. So that's kind of obvious right there. I think it's just like how I said, I don't know if anyone's going to disagree with Goku Black being number 9. I was pretty certain no one was going to disagree with Beerus being number 1. But let's go ahead, we'll talk about Broly, then we'll go ahead and look at Beerus and just kind of talk about why I have those 2 placed where they're placed and kind of clear things up from there. So, number 2 with Broly, why is he there? A couple of things. For one, he's just a beast. He's just a badass, man. I mean, we talk about the super attack effect, like how Frieza kind of boosts his defense for a few turns. Broly's like the reverse of that, right? With his super attack effect, he's boosting his attack for a few turns, so that's very helpful. Also, supreme damage to all enemies, so he's an AoE super attack kind of character right there. In certain situations, like for example, the World Tournament, he can be actually a nice option right there. Now, I wouldn't say he's part of the best kind of effective team for the World Tournament, but I mean, if you need him, he's right there. He can work for that. He can work for any sort of fight where there's multiple opponents. So this is a really nice thing from his super attack effect. With his passive skill, he has a lot of nice things to offer as well, right? Boosting his stats right there. With each super that he's performing, he's boosting his stats and he's increasing his damage received up to, or reducing his damage received, I should say, increasing his damage reduction by 10% up to 50%. So, I mean, he can do a lot of nice things. It's very easy to meet this condition. Also, one thing worth noting compared to Frieza, he never loses this damage reduction, right? He is still sticking at that 50%. Now, Frieza does get that extra 30% in slot 1, which Broly does not have here, but still, not losing damage reduction, I do love that, because that means I can just know I don't have to worry about Broly down the line. He's going to be the same dude from start to finish, basically, as long as this part of his passive is built up. Also, randomly changing key spheres to rainbow orbs when there's another planetary destruction or pure Saiyan's ally in the same turn. Very, very easy condition to meet, especially because if you look at his linkage, you want to run him with other Brolys, and guess what? All these Brolys, they're part of planetary destruction. They're part of pure Saiyans. So his kit is going to be met in terms of that requirement, and we'll see why that's very important in just a moment. But right here, Superclass allies gain additional ki and attack boost. Extreme class allies gain ki +1 and attack and defense plus 20% per rainbow ki sphere obtained. So yeah, and let me just finish this too. Boosting the chance of boosting, I can't even talk right now because I'm just like all over the place right now. Boosting his crit chance by 50% and launches additional guaranteed super for every two rainbow key spheres obtained. Man, I cannot talk. I mean, Broly is just a beast though. Broly, we can see why he's just so awesome, and you can probably understand why I have him at number 2 is he's very able to kind of take care of himself. Yes, he has a condition here where you want planetary destruction of pure Saiyans, but once this is met, he's giving himself what he needs for the rest of his passive. And also, I mean, in terms of what he has to offer, additional supers, right? You could get maybe up to 3 or 4 supers within a turn. That means basically you get a lot of support right here, and also you can get him to get his damage reduction built up pretty damn fast, and also with all these supers, he's raising his attack for 3 turns, his damage could be pretty crazy as well. So Broly's a fantastic character. He links so well with all the other good Brolys like the new Carnival LR Broly right here, as well as the LR Tech Broly EZA, so all of those things are just super clutch. They're really awesome. And I mean, honestly, I don't know what else there is to say for me when it comes to Broly. Broly is just a fantastic unit. I love what Broly has to offer, and I love, again, how simple it is, very straightforward. Yes, a condition here or there, but it's so easy to meet, and he just kind of takes care of himself once this one condition is met. So I just love Broly. Broly is a fantastic character, and of course he deserves to be at number 2 in my opinion. For number 1, when it comes to Beerus, do I even need to say why? I feel like Beerus is like Beerus is such an obvious understanding of why he is at number 1, because, you know, we look at what he has to offer. Yes, the leader skill is not that crazy, the super attack effect not that crazy, the defense debuffing is pretty nice though, but still not that crazy. But the passive skill is what makes or breaks a character nowadays for a lot of characters, and really, his passive skill is just built different. You know, Beerus is built like a god of destruction for, like, obvious reasons. I mean, we look at what he has to offer, the nice stat boost right there, boosting his stats and a high chance to perform a crit built into his kit when performing a super, which is so easy to do. Also, additional defensive boost right there, and guards all attacks guaranteed when there's another movie boss, Realm of Gods, or Exploding Rage category ally in the same turn. Real easy condition to meet, a lot of different categories you could touch on, and also guaranteed guard. We love to see that. Guaranteed guard is so helpful on its own, and we'll see right down here, he's also getting damage reduction as well, so, you know, he can tank pretty good. Now, I mean, we see what else he has to offer. With each attack he's receiving, then he's increasing his stats right there, so that's going to make him much stronger, of course. 30% damage reduction right there when HP is 30% or more, plus the extra 30% when HP is 60% or more, so 60% damage reduction right there on an average basis, which is really nice. Also, great chance to launch an additional super right there, potentially, so that's pretty helpful. And also, the whole kind of support ability right here, this is such an easy kind of condition to meet because there is no condition. It's just ki +2 for both sides, and attack boost for super class allies, defensive boost for extreme class allies, which is fan-freaking-tastic, especially because if you think about it on a general basis, super class allies are typically better when it comes to tanking, I would argue, compared to extreme class allies. I mean, think about how many times your extreme class characters just die. Well, Beerus is going to be able to protect them a bit more by providing them extra defensive support, so that is really nice right there. And also, we don't even talk about this, but the rage, right? Beerus, he's known for having a rage mechanic. His rage being up to 2 times, that is very helpful, of course, very easy condition to meet. And when we go into the rage form, his rage form does so much. I mean, obviously we see right there, able to do the damage, increasing his attack pretty nicely right there with the 11 key super, 12 key guaranteed stunning the enemy. That is actually really awesome. And I mean, when we look at his passive skill, this is the thing about Beerus. he's kind of like LR Janemba in his rage form, right? Where per Keystone obtained, he's doing more damage. That is really nice right there. He's got a really nice attack boost right there, so damage boosts are going to be crazy. Launches an additional attack that's a great chance to become a super, so he could do a lot of work. Now, if I have to give one criticism to Beerus, though, and this is, I think, the most valid criticism for Beerus. I've said it on my Twitter post as well. If you guys want to check out my Twitter, I'll leave it in the description down below. But I said it when I said it then on Twitter, but when it comes to Beerus, you go through his rage form, that's all well and good. When you leave the rage form, Beerus is in a bit of a predicament now because, you know, what's going to happen is in this form right here, Beerus is going to tank, he's going to handle himself pretty nicely, someone else is going to get hurt, which leads to the rage form the next time Beerus shows up. Beerus goes into the rage form, does his damage, comes out, let's just say, because you don't kill the opponent. Then you're in this position where he comes out with less HP because he had to get in the rage form, comes out, no HP recovery, and now he's lost a bit of damage reduction, which means he's even more of a defensive liability potentially in certain situations, and he could be the one getting you killed at the end of the day because someone else got it going. So there are some dangers when it comes to Beerus, but to be fair, I mean, when we look at all these Super Easy 8 characters, all of them can be exposed. Let's be honest, I've seen Broly get exposed many times myself. Frieza, I've had him get exposed in certain positions, especially if a fight drags on too long. Ultimate Gohan, same thing. Kid Buu for sure. I mean, Goku Black, all these guys, they can get exposed in certain situations, so none of them are going to be perfect, but they're Super Easy A's, right? We have to kind of look at them with a grain of salt in that regard. But Beerus, I mean, Beerus is built different, in my opinion, compared to the others. Is also on some really nice categories. Again, you know, movie bosses, Realm of Gods, Planetary Destruction, I think, or no, Exploding Rage was the other one you needed for his kind of conditions right there. So, you know, it's very easy to meet those things. You can fit him onto a lot of categories because of that, and it's just fun to use them for sure. So for me, this is going to be how I have the list set up. So obviously, you know, we'll go ahead and kind of review it again. So the worst Super Easy, in my opinion, actually, let me go ahead and see if I can make another kind of gap tier right here. So we'll go ahead, add a row here. Let's go ahead and call this the gap tier right here, because I think that is the most appropriate kind of spot. So we'll call it a gap there. 9 is going to be the Super Easy A for Goku Black. I'm really hating on Goku Black. He shouldn't deserve this hate, but he is kind of bad for me. So Goku Black, then Super Saiyan 3 Goku, then Gotenks, Super Saiyan Goku, the Prime Battle LR Super Easy A right there, Super Easy A Kid Buu, Ultimate Gohan, Full Power Frieza, the legendary Super Saiyan Broly, and finally Lord Beerus is going to be our best Super Easy A in the game, at least at this point in time at the beginning of December for 2024. With that all cleared up, that's going to be the end for this tier list. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to drop a like down below. Also subscribe to the channel. Both show support to me and the content that I do, and I cannot stress this enough, they really do mean a lot. And also, comment down below, do you guys agree with my tier list for all of the Super Easy A's at this point in time? Probably not, but if you guys do disagree, let me know also in the comments down below, how do you disagree and what would you change so that the Super Easy A tier list here will be more accurate to your own personal tier list, because I'm very curious to see where we may disagree or where we may agree on the various units. Also, definitely check out some of the other vids on my channel as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.